Good day. Hope everyone out there is having a good one. So, not surprisingly, Mick Mars is coming from the tour that he's basically retired from. He's been replaced by Johnny Five, which awesome guitar player. If I was in a band and he was going to be my fill-in, I'd be happy with that. But it would seem that Mick Mars is irritated by the fact that it seems to be like it's all fake. Now, he recently sat down to an interview with, is it Carmine Apice? Apis? Sorry. And he says they were busy trying to be rock stars. They were supposed to have done their last tour and then they came back. Now, anybody who's been under a rock, Motley Crue is, now they got the Def Leppard Crue jet, which I talked in another video how it's kind of a sign that even the industry isn't willing to put all the money in, because back in the day they'd all have their own planes and everything. But he even talks about some of this and how over the top and how garbage this whole situation is. So it would seem that he didn't really leave because he couldn't measure up. It would seem quite the opposite. Things weren't coming up to his standards. Now, recently, drummer legend Carmine sat down with Andrew Daly for a UG exclusive interview. Among other things, Carmine, who's well known for his work with Cactus, Blue Murder, as well as Ozzy Osbourne, reflected on his friendship with guitarist Mick Mars and his departure from Motley Crue. Mars left the touring lineup of the legendary glam metal band last year and was replaced by John Five. You can find this first part of the interview below. Now, probably not read that part, but now here we go into some of the meat and potatoes. Now, what he is stating, Mick said, is when I was on the stadium tour, I was not happy. Basically, everything was on tape. It was all planned out, and ultimately a lot of crap. And Mick is a good guitar player. Is a pretty good player. And so to now let him loose and play the way he wants, that was never going to work for him. The truth is that everything has been weird for a while with Motley Crue. And Mick didn't like that everything was on tape. Mick told me that people that came to see it could tell that there was a pre-recorded, and I've seen video, and you could clearly hear that there's more than just a cyst going on. And never mind the whole Tommy Lee thing. Like, look, if you get caught, don't try to lie or gaslight people and act, oh, no, that was just a key in, or a... No, that's not how that works. And you're trying to bank on the fact that you can just, oh yeah, people are just ignorant. They don't know how it works. No, we know how you get counted in by somebody off stage. That's not how that works. And acting like backing tracks are just there to put a nice little shiny coating on everything. What, you're not good enough anymore to put a nice little shiny coating on anything? You can't play your own music no more? Now, I understand there's a whole bunch of reasons why this is happening, and different band members feel differently about all this, and different people feel differently about all this. I myself prefer to see the band raw, for real, warts and all. even if it's not their best night. I'd rather see not their best night than them be up on stage faking playing. Now, when you play in a stadium like that, you can hear a lot of things come to the monitors or what doesn't. And with Vince's vocals, bass, drums, guitars, and all the other stuff it was obvious that it was all on tape. And Mick was pissed off and said, I can play these things. I want to play them. That's one of the reasons why he said, I'm done. Sure, this disease that he has doesn't help, and it doesn't make life easy on tour, but Mick can play all the licks, and he was allowed to. So Mick wasn't getting along with the rest of the band? No, he wasn't. He had his own means of travel and would travel alone on a bus while the other guys flew everywhere. He said, man, these guys are just pissing their money away, flying to every gig. They're trying to relive the first part of their career that they kind of, smoked and snorted away. And maybe this time do it a little straighter. We won't say totally straight, but a bit straighter. And yeah, we all know what Vince's voice has been sounding like. Now, for it to magically all of a sudden sound like it does on the CDs, sorry, it's not believable that, and that he's able to carry this on. We see what his diaphragm looks like. We understand how that works. People that understand how singing works and everything. Come on now. People aren't this ignorant to this, and when you go to the show and you see it in person, or you just even see clips on the internet, it's like, he's clearly not singing this, because the last shows we saw Vince singing, he don't sound anything like that. And he's flubbing through. And, good. Maybe there's nights they let him on the mic and they let him, or maybe there's nights that, hey, why don't you take a break? We'll fill in some songs for you. Is Def Leppard using these practices? I don't know. Is Elliot letting the PA sing for him? So, they were all busy still trying to be rock stars, and Mick just wanted to play the music. Mick wasn't interested in wasting time and money flying everywhere, so he traveled by bus. Their lifestyles are different than his, and so there were a lot of disagreements. I think he was just done. They were supposed to have done their last tour, and then they came back. Then they did the stadium tour, and then was apparently supposed to be the last. So when they came back again, he said, you can do it. I'm not going out with you for this. So obviously that's when they pulled in John 5. Now, again, a guitarist of MICK Mars pedigree to be replaced on tour with somebody of Johnny Five's pedigree, perfect, right? Well, what's your thoughts on John 5? Do you feel he's a proper replacement? He's a good player, but if they're on tape, it doesn't matter. It's sad because when Motley Crue first went out with Ozzy, they were smoking. They were smoking all right. I lived out in LA and I'd see them perform on the Strip. They'd walk with their makeup. They looked like the New York Dolls. There's a name I haven't heard in a while. A lot of people said they'll never make it. That look is over. But a year later, they blew up, and they did it all and they did it all themselves. they put their posters all over town, and they were selling out arenas quickly. Then they got a record deal, and Tom Werman producing, and that's when Ozzy caught wind of them, and then they went on tour. So, so were you friendly with Motley Crue then? I got to be friends with them all, and I used to hang out with Tommy and Nikki all the time. They lived around the corner from where I lived, and we'd go to breakfast all the time. And I used to go to Tommy's house with him when I was with Heather Locklear. We were good friends. Heather Locklear made the rounds. She was like she was really into the bands back in the day. She had great taste in music, I have to say, because back in the day, all these bands were hot, and as well as her. I had a red Ford Pantera, and that's why Vince got on, which is the car he crashed and killed an Hour Rocks drummer in. Yeah, that's, for the uninitiated, it's a big story about Nikki Sixx driving drunk, and yeah. So yeah, I was good friends with all of them. I remember that when they did their second record, I lent them a bass drum of mine, which they used on the album. I went down to the studio while they were recording, and I realized that the bass sound that Tom Werman was getting was not that great. So I stepped in and lent them mine. In the end, it sounded great. I stayed in touch, but then as they got bigger and bigger, things changed, as they do. But again, all of Tommy's tricks that he does, a lot of them came from me. He credited me for that, and I respect him for it. He became a good drummer. I watched him grow, and I watched him get huge. So take that with a grain of salt. So it's sad that we're not in touch anymore. Now, granted, this is not straight from the mouth of Mick Mars, but it goes to what a lot of people have been saying, and I'd been hearing grumblings from tour people, from friends I have that work with Live Nation, that all over the place, that there was some unhappy happenings behind the scenes, that everything was not as peachy keen in the Motley Crue world as they would like you to believe. And with Mick Mars' depart, I just, if you're somebody of Mick Mars' caliber, you want to go out on your own 2 feet, and you want to do this, and you want to know that your last big huge stadium or arena shows were your ride out into the sunset was on your own, and on your own 2 feet, with your own 2 hands and your own guitar, and to be like, oh, no, you're just there for looks. We'll take care of all the music stuff. Look, he's the oldest member of the band, and he's old school. I think he's the less easiest to get just bought out on the idea. He's, I think he feels, he's owed more than to just, be pushed out on stage like a mannequin to play this. And I think he deserves, better. I think a lot of these, bands deserve better. But at the same time, I think a lot of them tolerate it because money talks. They all have mansions. They all have car payments or whatever. And, they all have outrageous expenditures. and they all obviously have a hard time living within their means. Um, you know, I get it. But I also see all the other sides of it. I also see the fans that just want to see these bands one last time. They're not so worried about assist or backing tracks or whatever you want to call it, or just playing karaoke. Well, even karaoke has this person actually singing, right? So even if it's poorly. So yeah, what are your thoughts? I mean, I would really like to hear an interview right straight from the horse's mouth, but you know, it would seem that Mick Mars is not pleased with the fakery going on, and it makes sense that somebody like him would would take issue with that. Um, you know, yeah, I don't think he wants to go out like that, and he would rather just leave things the way they were. I get it. I totally do. You want to be judged on your own merits, right? And can you imagine hearing grumblings from people that went to your show that, oh boy, they sounded like garbage, and to know that you couldn't have done anything about it because you weren't even playing the music to begin with. It was somebody else. And really, it was the sound man that sounded like garbage because he was the only person really doing anything. It's just, I know. I know all the angles. I get it, and I get what, but I can understand this. Um what's your thoughts? What do you think? I look forward to hearing what peeps got to say. And I also look forward to hearing straight from the horse's mouth because, you know, yeah, this is wow. I mean, yeah. So, I hope everybody out there is having a great day. Hope it's going as well as it can be. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good day out there, everybody.